skies just a beautiful day. And today's game being broadcast in Spanish where available using the SAP button on your television. Head coach for the Titans, Mike Munchak, Hall of Famer over his 12-year playing career. Raiders head coach Dennis Allen in his second season at 41 years old, the youngest head coach in the NFL. Titans won the toss. They defer. Oakland will receive. It's Taiwan Jones, 3-year man out of Eastern Washington, averaging about 24 yards per return. And he awaits the kick from Rob Baronis in his 9th year out of Georgia Southern, among the most accurate place kickers in NFL history. It's been a long time between games here at Oakland, with Tennessee and the Raiders getting together. Back in 2004 that the Titans were here in the Bay Area, so they bring it out to the 20-yard line, and here is Matt McGloin.
Yeah, it's not very often a college free agent gets the chance to start. And even look at the long shot it was, Marv, coming out of training camp. Matt Flynn was supposed to be the starter. They had Terrell Pryor. They drafted Tyler Wilson in the 4th round, and here we are in week 12, and Matt McGloin is making his second start.
Rashad Jennings, who has been one of the hot running backs in recent weeks in the NFL, is in the backfield, and McGloin's pass is batted down. Ropati Patuatua able to get a piece of it. A look at the Raiders up front at center. Stefan Wisniewski has been reunited with Matt McGloin as quarterback at Penn State. Backs and receivers. Jennings playing for the injured Darren McFadden on a tear. 150 yards running last week in that win over the Houston Texans.
Go! Kenny! Double cat!
Out of the gun. This is Jennings. Rashad Jennings straight ahead, picks up the 3 on the play. Titans front 4 getting excellent performances from Jarrell Casey, who has 7 sacks at middle linebacker. Moses Foku back after missing the last 4 games with knee problems. And in the secondary, Alteron Burner, 5 interceptions going into today. That is tied for the NFL lead. It's a 3rd down and 7. We're just underway here in Oakland. And McGloin's pass is caught. It's a 1st down for the Raiders. Michael Rivera, who had a touchdown reception last week. In fact, the go-ahead TD, rookie from Tennessee, able to make the catch.
And this is really where they've struggled as an offense in 3rd down situations, but nice little route by Rivera against zone coverage. The Titans are going to change up the look for the rookie quarterback.
A gain of 10. Matt McGloin was not even invited to the scouting combine. Wasn't drafted. He was a walk-on at Penn State. This is Jennings. Rashad Jennings picks up 6, met by Akeem Ayers, the strong side linebacker.
Well, Jennings showed some speed with that 80-yard touchdown last week against Houston. A bigger back than McFadden, more of a thumper. He runs with power. He has been very good the last 3 weeks. 340 rushing yards over that span.
Matt McCants, usually an offensive lineman, now lining up as an extra tight end for the 2nd down and 4. Jennings the lone back. Runs in trouble. And his pass intended for Jennings.
Just thought it was interesting, Marv, and sitting down with Greg Olson, the offensive coordinator, and talking about the rookie quarterback, Matt McGloin. He said he knew right away he'd be the best passer of the 4 that they had in training camp after his initial workout. His initial workout with the Raiders, you mentioned, they went to Washington, Carolina for workouts, didn't go to the combine, but after about 15 minutes, they signed him, and they thought he was going to be the best passer of the group.
And going into college, he was thought at best to be a Division I AA prospect. And look at him now as he completes to Jennings. 1st down and additional yardage. 21 in all.
Well, you know, he knew that he wasn't going to take a back seat to any of the other quarterbacks. He's been extremely competitive, and he's a gamer. I mean, he's not going to overwhelm you with his physical attributes. Doesn't run like a Terrell Pryor. Maybe doesn't have the arm like some other quarterbacks, but what he does have is great anticipation and accuracy when he throws the football.
And Rich Pryor had all kinds of problems recently. His last 4 starts, he's been intercepted 8 times. Only 1 touchdown. They're in the Wildcat here. Marcel Reese, who they say will be more of a factor. Turned back by Zach Brown. Direct snap to Marcel Reese, who averages just under 4 yards per carry. He was the Raiders' only Pro Bowler last season. Caught 52 passes. Has not been seen as much activity this year.
No, I'd like to see more of Marcel Reese, Marv, as you point out, but they will mix in the pistol. They still mix in the Wildcat. They have to do some different things. They're just not going to be able to run the football downhill against this Titans defense.
2nd and 9, play action. McGloin able to complete. It's the tight end, Mastrud. Karen Mastrud pulled down by the strong safety, Bernard Pollard, picked up 5.
I think the offense is going to change a little bit, obviously, with Matt McGloin in there. They're going to really focus in on some things, some concepts that he does well, that he has a history with. But I know this about Greg Olsen. He is not going to be conservative, the offensive coordinator of the Oakland Raiders. He's going to continue to be aggressive with this young quarterback.
Raiders looking at a 3rd down and 4. It's the 9th play of this drive. Reese now flanks wide right side. Out of the gun. McGloin had it batted and nearly intercepted. It was deflected by Ayers, strong side linebacker. Zach Brown, working the other side, had a shot at it, but not able to come up with the football.
Well, that's the thing that happens with the shorter quarterback. McGloin's only 6'1". He doesn't have that kind of release, that ideal over-the-top release that you're looking for. So he's going to have to find some pockets, some windows in the rush. Really an alert play there by Ayers to get up there and bat that one down. It's already the 2nd batted ball we've seen today by the Titans.
And here's Sebastian Janikowski about to attempt a 52-yard field goal on the season, 11 of 16. He's had a lot of success from 50 plus, and this one is good. 52-yard field goal by Janikowski. Raiders 3, and Titans will touch it for the first time. So the Raiders opening drive, 10 plays, 46 yards, 4 minutes, 5 seconds, and the rookie McGloin gets the Raiders on the board off the 52-yard field goal by Janikowski, who will kick it off to Devin Wiley, who has replaced Damian Williams as the return man. Williams out with a rib injury. Nice move by Wiley. 20-yard return. And now here is Ryan Fitzpatrick starting for the injured Jake Locker, his 4th start of the season.
Yeah, and you can see how the offense has evolved. I mean, more empty, no back. You'll see no huddle, more of an up-tempo approach with Ryan Fitzpatrick as opposed to Jake Locker. Only from the standpoint that these are some things that Fitzpatrick did in Buffalo, things that he's done earlier in his career, things where he is more comfortable in this offense.
Running back is Chris Johnson. Fitzpatrick with a long look. Flag is down as he completes. Kendall Wright, who comes in with 59 catches. That's a 7-yard advance.
Number 67,
However,
offense.
they'll bring it back.
10-yard penalty.
The referee,
First down.
Carl Sheffers, calling it on the left guard, Andy Levitri. Quick check of the Titans offense. The rookie center, Brian Schwenke, back from that ankle injury. He's been playing well. Backs and receivers. Kendall Wright, who we just talked about, their leading receiver. Second-year man out of Baylor, not looking to talk college football today. Off last night's performance. The Baylor Bears. Deep drop here by Fitzpatrick. Again, time, and completes in the left flat, but not much. Nate Washington on the grab, but just 3 on the play. As we look at the Raiders defensively, they shuffle up front. The rookie Stacey McGee makes his first start at nose tackle. Middle linebacker Nick Roach has played well, leads the Raiders in tackles. In the secondary, the Titans certainly wary of the 8-time Pro Bowl free safety Charles Woodson, 36 years old, in his 16th season and still so effective at stripping the ball out of receivers' hands. He's been around so long. He's a former teammate of yours, Rich.
He is, believe it or not.
Fitzpatrick to the other side. And that is short of a first down. Again, it's Washington on the reception. It's a 13-yard pickup. Mike Jenkins, the left corner, made the stop.
There are certain receivers you just have a comfort level with, and I think regardless of who plays quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, it's Nate Washington. Smart, crafty, veteran receiver who always knows what to do, always seems to be in the right place at the right time.
9-year veteran out of Tiffin College in Ohio. 3rd and 4. Crowd very much into it here at the start. Fitzpatrick had to rush it, feeling the pressure, but a flag is thrown. Pass intended for Wright.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 55, defense, for contact in the quarterback's helmet. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
It is called on strong side, linebacker C.O. Moore.
Well, here's C.O. Moore. He's the last one to your right of the screen, and he comes clean off the edge. They're going to get him for hitting Ryan Fitzpatrick. Boy, he hits him right up around the chin. That's tough. Can't do that. I always say you have to sit in there with a tough jaw, and Ryan Fitzpatrick did just that.
The Raiders, with their 75th penalty of the season, they are 5th most in the NFL. That gives Tennessee a first down at the 45-yard line. This is Chris Johnson working his way out to midfield. Lamar Houston making the stop. We were talking last night, Rich, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you asked what was the toughest part of leaving Buffalo. And he said he felt that he failed his head coach, Chan Gailey. He said it was just a feeling of unfinished business. Once again, it's Johnson. About 2 on that pickup.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Marvin. You could just sense the frustration from Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, anytime you get that big contract and a head coach like Chan Gailey has the confidence and the trust, and you feel like you let him down if it doesn't work out. Of course, once Chan Gailey got fired, Ryan Fitzpatrick saw the writing on the wall, and when Matt Hasselbeck left and went to Indianapolis, he found himself a new home in Tennessee.
Fitzpatrick has started for 4 years with Buffalo. Looks like a flag
number
is thrown.
70, offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
It's on the right guard, Chance Warmack. Rookie from Alabama, first-round pick, and the 10th selection overall.
The Chance Warmack right there. He's just going to subtly step back. He sees the pressure coming. You've got to be able to keep your poise in the noise, especially early in a stadium like this.
Sets it back to a 3rd and 11. Raiders have a 3-0 lead halfway through this opening quarter. Low snap, handled by Fitzpatrick, and dumps it. It is caught for a first down. Nate Washington running it out of bounds. 16-yard advance for Washington.
Well, when you get one-on-one coverage, you've got to be able to beat man-to-man coverage, and Nate Washington does a nice job. They get fooled in the secondary. Clearly, you can see Mike Jenkins was thinking he was going to pass that off. He was going to take the inside route. He winds up having to rally to the outside route. Nate Washington's able to pick up the easy first down.
Go!
Chris Johnson is a running back.
Ready! Go!
Play action. Fitzpatrick throwing. It is dropped. Dropped by the tight end, Delaney Walker. It was right on target. We're set for an update. Let's go to JB and Boomer.
Chiefs and Chargers in a shootout.
Well, it's a wild one in the AFC West. Alex Smith, his 3rd TD pass of the day. This one to Dwayne Bowe. They take the lead 38-34. San Diego has the ball. They are driving. 56 seconds left to go in the game.
7th lead change in that one, Marv. Marv Albert and Rich Gannon.
It is amazing. Thanks, guys. 14 of the 16 AFC teams are still alive for a playoff berth, and we're watching 2 of those teams on the screen. Not much left. Craig Stevens, combination tight end and H-back, making his first catch of the season, and it looked like a no gain.
That was a big hit. I don't think Craig Stevens ever feels C.O. Moore. He's just trying to run the screen. He's going to stumble a little bit, and then he gets stumped right on the head. Just listen to the hit.
Craig Stevens stand out blocking tight end, and as they check him out, we'll take a break.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. T. Rowe Price, understanding the connections of a complex global economy. Invest with confidence. And by the redesigned Honda Odyssey. Honda, start something special.
Back at the Coliseum in Oakland, 3-0 lead for the Raiders. Chris Johnson out flank wide to the right. Empty backfield to Ryan Fitzpatrick, a 3rd and 11. Fitzpatrick able to complete right at the marker. We'll see where they spotted Justin Hunter, a rookie from the University of Tennessee, a 2nd-round draft pick. Made the catch, and it is a first down. It's a 13-yard gain.
Well, Justin Hunter's going to be a good player once he figures it all out. He's a big receiver at 6'4", 203 pounds, can go in the middle of the field and work. And what you love as a quarterback, a bigger body in that part of the field.
Titans playing fast, first down at the 26, and this is Johnson stiff-arming his way to the sideline and then runs it out of bounds. Titans started the year 3-1. They dropped 5 of their last 6 games. Their last game was a week ago Thursday night. They lost to the Colts 30-27. At one point, they had that 17-3 lead in the first half, but the Colts came back with 20 unanswered points. Although Fitzpatrick had a good game, 22 of 28.
Ready? We go!
Swing pass caught by the tight end Walker.
Well, Delaney Walker had 10 catches in his last time out against the Colts, and he can be a real mismatch working in the middle of the field against these linebackers and safeties. He's a guy that can play inline. They can put him out in the slot or even out wide, and let him go to work against one-on-one coverage.
Titans pick up a first down at the 13. Big hole on the right for Johnson. Makes his way to the 10, picking up 3. C.O. Moore able to make the stop. Ryan Fitzpatrick still looking for his first win as a member of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, Jason Tarver, he's going to be busy trying to slow down not only Chris Johnson, but to try and get some pressure on Ryan Fitzpatrick in the pocket.
This is the 12th play of the drive. Again, it is Johnson, and he is stopped this time by the middle linebacker, Nick Roach. So Johnson picked up 2. This drive started back Tennessee's own 26-yard line.
Yeah, and you look at the key to this offense, it's got to be Chris Johnson, Marv. I mean, he's got to be able to get his touches. And then when they get in this part of the field, they'll make a switch. They'll bring in the bigger body back and Sean Green.
Sean Green, the former New York Jet, in there on a 3rd and 5. Fitzpatrick is buried, taken down by the combination of Kevin Burnett and Nick Roach. It's a loss of 7.
Well, they're going to bring the linebackers inside. You see Roach come first, and of course, he frees up Kevin Burnett. Internal pressure. We talked about collapsing the pocket around Ryan Fitzpatrick.
This brings on the field goal unit. Rob Baronis, 15 of 18 for the season, attempting from 33 yards out. The hold of the punter, Brett Kern. Bo Brinkley was snapped. And Baronis able to put it through to tie the game at 3 as we come up on 3.5 remaining in the first.
Well, the Raiders have had a difficult time finding their franchise quarterback, and really this timeline tells a story. They draft Terrell Pryor in the supplemental draft in 2011. They got an injury to Jason Campbell. 2 days later, they trade for Carson Palmer. They give up first and second round picks this past offseason. They traded 2 picks for Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn's not even with the team anymore. And of course, Terrell Pryor named the starter after preseason. And Matt McGloin last week becomes the 17th different starting quarterback since 2003. That's tied for the most in the league. Marv, this is a team that's starving for leadership, production, and consistency at the quarterback position.
Rodos with the line drive kick played by Tywan Jones. He's to the 20. Tried the spin move, and he's called down by Colin Mooney. So here comes Matt McGloin. Game tied at 3.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx One Rate. Simple flat rate shipping with the reliability of FedEx. And by Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side.
Beautiful day in the Bay Area. Rich, I know you came with the overcoat, the ear laps. You couldn't use either.
That's a gorgeous day. It's a great day for football.
So the Raiders take over. The game is tied at 3. They start out from their 22-yard line. And the handoff goes to Jennings. With NFL Mobile, you can get live video access to exclusive premium content on your smartphone. Call ** NFL to download or go to NFL.com/mobile to learn more. Message and data rates may apply. We saw that graphic a moment ago. 17 starting quarterbacks for the Raiders since 2003. He is actually the Raiders' 15th. They're in the Wildcat now. 15th starting quarterback. Get back to that in a moment. A direct snap to Marcel Reese. And he is stopped, picked up a couple of yards. At any rate, McGloin, the Raiders' 15th starting quarterback since 2004, which is AG. That's now known as after Gannon.
I don't know if that's good or bad. But you know what? As I said, they're looking for somebody. Terrell Pryor got a chance, didn't play particularly well here. You know, the last 4 or 5 games, 1 touchdown, 8 interceptions, and now he's watching. He's watching another guy get his opportunity in Matt McGloin.
McGloin working out of the gun. 3rd down and 8. And he fires. It is a diving attempt, incomplete. Pass intended for Andre Holmes, just a second-year player who made a 33-yard reception last week.
Well, watch him out of this break. Just throttle. Just sit down in the hole. That's what Matt McGloin was anticipating. That's what he was trying to do. Stop him in the hole. He didn't want to run him in there into a headache. There's other defenders inside, and that's what Andre Holmes has to learn. As you mentioned, Marv, an inexperienced receiver.
Holmes starting for the injured Arius Moore. Marquette King with the punt, gets the good roll. As Wiley let it go, it ends up as a 55-yarder, but a flag has been thrown.
During the kick, holding, number 42, return team. 10-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
Called on Colin Mooney. Game is tied at 3 here at Oakland. Back in a moment. Tennessee will start out from its 12-yard line. The running back is Chris Johnson. Game is tied at 3, and Johnson is taken down. It's a loss on the play. The left corner, Mike Jenkins, submarined him for a 2-yard loss. A reminder, tomorrow on Mike and Molly, get ready for a Thanksgiving showdown. Melissa McCarthy and Billy Gardell star in a new episode of the hit comedy Mike and Molly. That's tomorrow at 9, 8 Central, only CBS. In the previous possession, Craig Stevens, the combo tight end H-back, took a hard hit, and we're told he suffered a knee injury, and his return is questionable. Out of the gun. There's the swing pass. Johnson. No running room at all. Tracy Porter on the stop.
Hey, look at that right there. What's at stake in this game? The winner moves to the 6th spot in the AFC playoff standings. I mean, that information clearly will be relayed to both of these coaches and to the players in the locker room at halftime. And this is like a playoff game for the Raiders and the Titans.
And when you go to 5 and 6, you lose your 4 and 7, 3rd and 10. Fitzpatrick floats one. It is caught. Beautiful catch, despite the double coverage made by Kendall Wright, but a flag is down.
Well, 3rd down, if you're the Raiders, you better find Kendall Wright. I mean, that's where they want to go with the football. He leads the league with 3rd down receptions with 23 coming into today's game.
Now that's a 31-yard pass play if it holds up.
Personal foul, face mask, number 53 defense. 15 yards will be added to the end of the play. 1st down.
It's on Nick Roach, the middle linebacker.
Well, he's clearly outmanned in this one. I mean, he's trying to chase right down the slot, and he's got help over the top from the safety, but Nick Roach can't make that play. Kendall Wright just has too much speed up the seam.
Further word on that injury I mentioned concerning Craig Stevens. It's a neck injury, not a knee injury. But Stevens' return is questionable. So 1st down for the Titans, and it's Johnson weaving his way. And he is stopped after picking up 3 yards. Chris Johnson averaging only 3.8 per carry, 3-time Pro Bowl running back, has had some moments. Can explode at any time. Let's see if they get this one off the time running out in the 1st quarter. Looked like they did. Johnson. So they get the extra play in as Johnson picked up 4, stopped by Lamar Houston, and that is now the end of the 1st quarter. The score, the Raiders 3, the Titans 3 will return to Oakland. After these messages, you're watching the NFL on CBS. We move on to the 2nd quarter. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon, the Titans and Raiders tied at 3. You know, the last time the Raiders won 2 in a row was late October of last season. They've gone 19 games since winning 2 straight. Here's Fitzpatrick. Throwing to the fly as Wright. Kendall Wright. Ball down by Tracy Porter, and again a
Holding.
flag.
Number 71 offense. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Well, they'll bring it back. Michael Roos, the left tackle, called on the hold. How about this? The scramble in the AFC. Now, Pittsburgh holds the wild card spot temporarily, depending on what happens here between Tennessee and Oakland. You see the division leaders, 14 of 16 teams still alive. As Pittsburgh over Cleveland earlier, Baltimore beat the Jets. Carolina came from behind, beat Miami. San Diego over Kansas City. Look out, Fitzpatrick in trouble. Fitzpatrick with a nice move to get out of trouble. And hauled down by Vance Walker. Fitzpatrick picking up 8 yards on the scramble.
Well, the one thing that Ryan Fitzpatrick can and will do is pull it down and run. He's averaging 6 yards per carry. If it's not there, he's more than capable of getting on the edge and picking up some 1st downs. Came up a little bit short there, but that's something that the Raiders are very cognizant of with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback.
So the punting unit has come out. Brett Kern, a 6-year man from Toledo, who is a hang-time specialist. Kobe Ford back beyond his 10. Then will try to keep it in play. And does just that. Makes a nice bounce. So that is where the Raiders will start out from. Tied at 3, we're early 2nd. Good shot of the Coliseum here in Oakland. Aerial coverage being provided by MetLife. Raiders will start out from their 9-yard line. They have Rashad Jennings and Marcel Reese in the backfield. The quarterback, the rookie Matt McGloin, takes out of the gun. punts and throws, and it is picked off. It is intercepted. Intercepted by Zach Brown, the weak side linebacker. Great field position for the Titans.
Yeah, he never feels the linebacker in zone coverage. Pollard's going to drop out. Pollard's going to drop out, and this is the linebacker that he doesn't feel, that is reading the eyes of the quarterback. Really alert play here by Zach Brown. You see him just sitting there the entire time. He's waiting on Marcel Reese. Good instinctive play by Zach Brown. You have to see in front of throws.
Well, Matt McGloin with his first NFL interception, and Tennessee takes over. They have Sean Green in the backfield. This is Green picking his way. Stopped by the nose tackle, Stacy McGee. It's a 5-yard gain. And you see McGloin being shown what was done wrong.
Yeah, he's looking at the pictures, and again, out of your own end zone, and talked about the importance of seeing out in front of throws, not making poor decisions, and not giving a team like the Titans a short field.
Second down to about 5 at the 6-yard line. Green remaining in the backfield. He's a short yardage specialist, not much there. Sean Green signed as a free agent from the Jets. 2-time 1,000-yard runner in the last couple of years. Nick Roach was able to get to him.
Yeah, you just get the sense that Chris Johnson doesn't like coming off the field, down in the red zone. He wants to be able to finish drives. He wants to be able to get some of the glory, but they're looking for the bigger back, a back that can smash it up in there, and that's Sean Green.
Green remains on the field for a 3rd and 4. Patrick makes a change. And he fires. Oh, it is broken up. Kevin Burnett with a terrific play. Delaney Walker, the intended receiver, and Burnett was able to throw himself in front of that pass attempt from Fitzpatrick.
A little better throw there. I mean, it's tough when you throw it behind a tight end like Delaney Walker, and you're going to see a lot of pressure. The Raiders like to bring pressure in this part of the field and play man-to-man behind it.
So here is Rob Baronis, who hit earlier from 33. This is a 22-yard attempt. 16 of 19 for the season. He's hit on his last 8. This one from straight away, a chip shot, and puts it through. Tennessee has taken a 6-3 lead, taking advantage of the interception that was thrown by Matt McGloin.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the new Intel-powered 2-in-1s. Intel, look inside. Corona, who invites you to find your beach this football season. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
We welcome you back to the Bay Area, Oakland, California. Rob Baronis getting set to kick it off to Taiwan Jones, who is deep in his end zone. The Titans have taken a 6-3 lead. Jones will run it out. He's out to the 20. Nearly broke it. A 31-yard return. George Wilson was able to get him down. Well, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Once again, Boomer pretending that he's taking notes, putting together his soliloquy.
953! 180!
Out of the gun, the handoff to Marcel Reese. And let's see how Matt McGloin reacts to that first NFL interception, which led to the field goal.
Yeah, you have to be able to turn the page quickly. He started out thought the first drive made some good throws, but he's gotten some balls batted at the line of scrimmage, and of course he never saw the zoning linebacker Zach Brown come out of his own end zone. So again, you got to be able to turn the page, have to have a short memory, and be able to have some concentration, be able to move on to the next play. Can't afford to look in the rearview mirror.
Lawrence pass. So Reese not able to handle it, went off his chest, but a flag is down.
Think about
Holding, number 61 offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
It's on the center, Stefan Wisniewski.
Well, they're just not good enough to be able to overcome the mistakes. You know, turnovers, some penalties, some missed assignments, drop ball, some batted balls. You know, they need a fast start. This is a team that can't afford to fall behind early and become one-dimensional.
McGloin is now 3 of 8, 36 yards, missing on his last 3 coming off the win.
180!
Last week, after the Raiders had dropped 2 in a row, McGloin on a roll and throws it, completes, able to hit Reese, who runs it out of bounds, short of a first down.
There's always a certain comfort level, I think, between quarterback and center. It doesn't hurt when, as you mentioned, Marv, these two guys played together at Penn State. Stefan was a senior, of course. Matt was a sophomore, and first or only undrafted or walk-on quarterback to ever start at Penn State, which I think speaks volumes about Matt McGloin. Had a chance to talk to Bill O'Brien, the head coach at the Penn State Nittany Lions on Friday. They love Matt McGloin. They love this kid's competitiveness, his intelligence.
Looking at a 3rd down and 5. And he lost his balance, and then it is broken up. Pass intended for Andre Holmes, but well covered by Jason McCourty, the left corner.
Well, Bill O'Brien really, as I said, he can't say enough about Matt, and of course, a smart guy, and all the guy did was win for him. And, you know, I think that Bill knew that this guy was going to be a long shot. Bill O'Brien, Marv, he called each team, all 32 teams, the general managers and the head coaches, and really said, hey, look, you've got to give this guy a chance. He'll win for you. The Raiders are one of those teams.
Evan Wiley plays the punt. Oh, he muffed it and now has to cover up. Good job recapturing a 41-yard punt. Bill O'Brien, one time the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, so certainly well aware of what was going on in the NFL. Thanksgiving Day, the NFL on CBS will carry on a holiday tradition as the Raiders go up against Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys. It all begins with JV, Dan Shannon, Coach Bill Cowher, and Boomer on a special holiday edition of the NFL Today presented by Southwest Airlines. The pass from Fitzpatrick is caught by Delaney Walker. How about Green Bay and Minnesota finishing in a 26-26 tie? The last time there was a tie in the NFL was November 11th of last season. St. Louis and San Francisco at 24-24. Do you know what that does to the whole playoff situation?
Matt Flynn actually came in and played today for the Green Bay Packers, former Raider quarterback.
John Green got the call and a flag is thrown right near Green, who was turning away. Stacy McGee, the nose tackle on the stop.
Number 84, offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
Taylor Thompson, the backup tight end. We heard from Carl Sheffers, the referee.
And you just see him right at the right part of your screen right there. And that's what happens. You lose your tight end, Craig Stevens. Taylor Thompson comes in, and that's the 4th holding penalty already today for the Titans.
2nd and 15 at the 23. Green remaining in the backfield, out of the gun. Fitzpatrick. It is incomplete. Intended for Kendall Wright. He's talking about Carl Sheffers, the referee. You may have noticed the short sleeve shirts, Rich. And Carl saying earlier, we're wearing them because of the warmer California climate. Also, to try to really rub it into their colleagues across the NFL who are working in very cold climates.
There's some bad weather games out there today, particularly in the Midwest and even back east.
3rd and 15. Fitzpatrick in trouble. Little shovel pass that is incomplete. Intended for Green.
You put yourself in these 3rd and long situations, and it's tough. Just a 3-man rush, and Fitzpatrick's forced to step up. He just tries to flip it out to Sean Green. Sean Green takes an early peek to see what's behind him and is not able to secure the catch.
Pressure from Ryan Robinson, the rookie from Oklahoma State, to force Fitzpatrick into that flip. Kobe Ford is back for the punt from Brett Kern. Just did get it away, angles it to the near side, and here comes Ford to the 40. And he fumbles! Ford tried to make another move. 45-yard punt, 16-yard return, and Bryce Butler recovers for Tennessee. I should say for Oakland. So Butler maintains possession.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by your next truck, Ford F-150. And by Kay Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Every kiss begins with Kay.
Well, the Oakland Raiders have been providing 800 tickets per game to local youth and their families as a part of the First and Goal Kids program. And the kids treated to a bus ride to the game, tickets, and visits from Raiders past legends. Nice touch by the Oakland franchise. Nice move here by Rashad Jennings, who has been quiet to this point. He stopped by Alter and Werner. Jennings picked up 7. He is playing for the injured Darren McFadden, who's been out now the last 3 weeks with a pulled hamstring, and Jennings has certainly taken advantage.
Yeah, he's taken advantage of the opportunity with McFadden out, and he's a very capable back, and I really believe, Marv, that more of the skilled players around this young quarterback, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, need to step up.
Jennings signed as a free agent. Jacksonville spent 4 years with the Jaguars. Oh, the pass from McGloin way on target for Michael Rivera, and then the flags come flying as Rivera is shaken up. Obviously. Rookie from Tennessee, 6th-round draft pick, and you hear the reaction from the crowd.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Personal foul, number 33, defense, for an illegal hit on a defenseless receiver. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, Rivera not able to hang on as Michael Griffin is called for that hard shot on Rivera.
Well, he's trying to throw the seam route. You're going to see Griffin. He just comes in right there. Man, that is ugly. You know, you talk about getting low, but when the receiver, the tight end in this situation is that low to the ground, I mean, you almost have to pull off. Look at that, helmet to helmet. Clearly knocks the helmet off the tight end, Michael Rivera.
Well, Michael Rivera headed back to the Oakland Raider locker room as he took that hard shot from Michael Griffin. It appeared that Rivera had it, and then after he took the jarring hit from Griffin, the ball went flying, but the penalty called, and the Raiders in good field position as Jennings is able to find a hole, and again a flag comes flying as Jennings picks up the first down. He's stopped by Griffin, an 11-yard run by Jennings. Jennings averaging 5 yards per carry.
Holding, number 76, offense. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
Well, this one's coming back. It's the left guard, Lucas Nix, called for the hold.
Well, this is a very famous play in their offense. It's sluggo seam, and they're really trying to get the seam route to the tight end. And go ahead and freeze it right there. Watch the safety. I mean, Griffin, he's taking a beeline because he recognizes the route as well. And again, an ugly collision between tight end and safety.
Sets it back to the 30-yard line. First and 10. Jennings now flank wide to the left. McGloin makes the turn, and his pass to Reese. Nothing there. Screen pass for Reese, and it's a loss of 2. Zach Brown had that one diagnosed.
Well, they love it. We're seeing more and more. We see a ton of it in college football, and we're seeing more and more of it in the NFL. These quick screens on the early downs on 1st and 10. They're kind of drive starters. They're just another way to get the ball in the perimeter as you look at Raiders offensive coordinator Greg Olson.
It is a loss of 2. And this is Jennings. Raiders trying to get Rashad Jennings going. 4 carries, 16 yards. Picked up 2 on the play. And one of the Titans is down. Earlier they lost Craig Stevens. His return questionable due to a neck injury. Fantasy football fans can get a fresh start with Player Challenge, a full-week game that now includes even bigger cash prizes. You can check out the rules. Sign up at cbssports.com/challenge. We're screened on who the Titan is now. It's Sammy Hill, the defensive tackle.
You just watch him right in the middle of the screen there. He's just going to get rolled up on that ankle. Looks like Terrell Casey fell on him awkwardly. Sammy Hill's really played well inside. And they really, you look at the Titans defensively, they really have improved in a number of different statistical categories.
Third down here for McGloin, firing one, and it is broken up. Intended for Bryce Butler, backup wide receiver, covered by the left corner Jason McCourty. Butler was looking for an interference call, will not get it.
Well, this is good coverage by McCourty. He's got his hands on him. Now watch him turn and try and locate that ball right at the last second. That was pretty good coverage there by McCourty.
So 4th and 10 at the 30, and here comes Sebastian Janikowski, who hit from long range back in the first quarter, able to connect on a 52-yarder. This from 48. It's a line drive. Whoa! And it is good. That nearly went under the crossbar. Game tied at 6. Tonight on 60 Minutes, Whitey Bulger was public enemy #1 and on the run for 16 years. So how did the FBI find him? Well, find out yourself only on 60 Minutes tonight. Titans and Raiders, 6 apiece. Devin Wiley is back for Tennessee, second-year man out of Fresno State, awaiting the kickoff. He replaced Damian Williams as the returner. Williams out with a rib injury. Williams had replaced Darius Raynaud, who had a very rough day against 49ers earlier in the season and then was cut by the Titans. This one will come out to the 20-yard line.
Not a lot of explosive plays in the first half so far from either team. Kind of a quiet day for the quarterbacks. The ugly interception from McGloin coming out of his own end zone. Neither team really been able to run the ball effectively. We've seen a lot of 8-man fronts from both defenses, and of course the one big reception to Kendall Wright.
And as you saw, Chris Johnson, 8 carries, only 19 yards. Rashad Jennings, 18 yards on 5 carries. Titans start out from their 20. Chris Johnson try to pull away. Able to work across the 25, but pulled down by Nick Roach, the middle linebacker. Roach leading the Raiders in tackles.
Well, the Raiders have been talking all week about trying to close the space, narrow the distance between themselves and Chris Johnson. I mean, they just don't want to let this guy get loose in space.
Johnson down flank to the right. Empty backfield. Fitzpatrick throws. And it is caught at the marker by Nate Washington, able to come back for it. He was covered by the left corner, Mike Jenkins. Picked up 7 and a first down.
And you're going to see more of this now on this drive. They're going to pick up the tempo, the pace a little bit to kind of get something started. This is really what Ryan Fitzpatrick likes.
Delta, Delta. To go. Blue 20. To go.
Off the roll, Fitzpatrick completes across the 35. Has the tight end Taylor Thompson, second-year man from SMU, who goes 6'6", about 270 pounds. So it was a combination of Roach and Moore who were able to pull him down.
And Fitzpatrick really loves this no-huddle approach, Marv. It makes it a lot more difficult for defensive coordinator Jason Tarver to dial up all those pressures and also make substitutions.
And Chris Johnson to the right. Bad snap handled by Fitzpatrick, who goes the other way for Walker. And another Tennessee first down. Kevin Burnett, weak side linebacker, on the tackle. That's good for 14. And you can see how the Titans are picking up the pace. First down at midfield. 4.5 remaining in this first half. The game is tied at 6. Now Johnson returns to the backfield.
Ready. We go.
Play action. Fitzpatrick in trouble. Fitzpatrick able to run it out. Did a good job. Looked like he was trapped back behind the line. Pressure from Kevin Burnett and Lamar Houston.
Well, they're going to bring Kevin Burnett, and of course Chris Johnson tries to cut him, and he's not able to. And Fitzpatrick does the next best thing. He just scrambles. And not quite the runner that Jake Locker is.
Actually lost the yard, 2nd and 11. It could have been much worse. Ryan Fitzpatrick in his 9th season out of Harvard. The first Harvard graduate to start an NFL game at quarterback, and now calls for time. First timeout taken in this first half. As you look at Mike Munchak, the head coach of the Titans. And a reminder coming up on the Verizon halftime report, it's JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher. They'll have all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Verizon halftime report.
I give Dow Loggins, Marv, the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans, a lot of credit. You have to be able to adjust your scheme to fit the players you have, especially at quarterback, and couldn't make that adjustment early when Locker was scheduled to come back. But since he went on injury reserve, you see much more of a focus on concepts that Fitzpatrick is comfortable with.
2nd and 11. Fitzpatrick pumps, could not find anyone. Again on the run as a flag comes flying. Jack Crawford on the cover up as Fitzpatrick goes for 5.
Holding, number 67 offense.
And another penalty.
10-yard penalty, second down.
Titans, Andy Levitri, the left guard. That is the 5th penalty on Tennessee.
Man, a really sloppy performance. Levitri's right in the middle of your screen there, and he's in good position right now. Right there is where they get him. Right as he's trying to spin out in the middle of your screen. Levitri's been a great add coming over in free agency from the Buffalo Bills. You see the frustration there from Mike Munchak.
It is a 2nd and 21. It is nearly intercepted. Went through the hands of Kenny Britt, who has been a forgotten man.
Well, big reason he's been forgotten, Marv, is because of the drops. And this is not an easy catch. It's a low fastball inside, and you got to find a way to make those plays. That's why he's fallen down the depth chart. Inconsistency, drops. Hasn't blocked well on the perimeter. Assignments, mental errors.
Otherwise, things are slow. He was actually asking for a trade prior to the deadline. His contract over after this season. Fitzpatrick again with pressure, forcing him out of the pocket, had nowhere to go. And now flags come flying, late flags. 3 flags on the field.
Listen to pushing and shoving between like Justin Hunter, Mike Jenkins, grabbing each other's face mask.
And it all took place right in front.
After the play, unnecessary roughness, number 15 defense. Correction, number 15 offense. That 15 yards will be added to the end of the play. 4th down.
That's called on Justin Hunter, wide receiver.
And they usually get the player that retaliates. It's not the player that initiated the pushing or the shoving. You can see him being disciplined on the sidelines. Got to use good judgment. You have to be able to walk away once in a while.
Rich, that's the 8th penalty for 86 yards against Tennessee. They're right around the middle of the pack in terms of most penalties, while Oakland is number 5 in the league. They've been hit with only 4 for 50 yards. So the punting unit is in. Jacoby Ford is back at his 31 for the Raiders. Curran, that's the low snap. That's another good punt. And a fair catch taken at the 21-yard line. That's a 52-yard punt by Curran. So back comes Matt McGloin and the Raider offensive unit. You were talking earlier about your conversation with Bill O'Brien, who was his head coach at Penn State. And in the aftermath of the Jerry Sandusky scandal, McGloin led the Nittany Lions to a record of 8-4 under O'Brien to actually help keep that football program alive under very difficult conditions. There's McGloin, his pass batted down. You mentioned the listed height of McGloin at 6'1". Does that hurt him in the long run? Of course, we've seen shorter quarterbacks certainly have success.
Well, the minute you see him get that ball in the throwing position, I mean, you're going to see the defenders try and get their hands up. It's already the 3rd batted ball we've seen today, and To'Otua gets the tip there. Again, got to be able to slide. You got to be able to adjust your arm motion and be able to find pockets in the rush.
And up to Jennings, running hard, gets across the 25. Do you think he is 6'1"?
He's 6'1", but he's not a very physically imposing player. I mean, you look at him there. He's a guy that obviously will get stronger. I think and this is a young player, guy that obviously doesn't have any experience as a rookie quarterback. But I think that first off season is important. You get in the weight room, get stronger, do more throwing. But they're intrigued. Let's put it that way, Marv. They don't maybe know that this guy is the future, the franchise quarterback, but they're intrigued. And I think if he plays well the rest of the way, he might find himself a home here in Oakland.
It's a 3rd down and 7. McGloin running out of trouble. McGloin slides for the 1st down. Covered up by George Wilson. An 8-yard gain for McGloin. 2-minute warning here in Oakland. Tied at 6. All right, Rich, Raiders at their 33. 2 minutes left here in the first half. If you are Matt McGloin, which the Raiders would not mind, incidentally, how do you play it from here?
Well, they've got to start having some success on the early downs. I mean, they've struggled on 1st down. They've got just 80 yards of offense, and they haven't been able to throw the ball to the wide receivers at all today. Not a single reception for a wide receiver.
Well, there's a reception by Olawale. A backup fullback, Jameis Olawale, second-year player from North Texas State, goes for 26 yards.
And this is what they need, a little bit of play action and get the fullback out in space, Olawale. Tennessee has actually played very well defensively. As you mentioned, just 80 yards of offense for the Raiders. Held them to a pair of field goals. And McGloin's numbers Kind of ugly. 6 of 14, 71 yards and an interception.
Only the fourth catch of the season for Olawale and a first down. Coming up at the Tennessee 41, but a timeout is taken by the Raiders, their first timeout of this first half. So both Tennessee and Oakland with 2 timeouts remaining. These two teams come in at 4 and 6. And as you look at the AFC playoff picture, which is bizarre in this week number 12, the division leaders, you're aware of Denver, Indy, New England, Cincinnati, Kansas City, and at the moment Pittsburgh in a wild card spot. Everybody else in the hunt. 14 of 16 teams are in the hunt for a playoff berth. Earlier, Pittsburgh over Cleveland. Jets lose to the Ravens. San Diego over Kansas City. Carolina came from behind, beat Miami. A wild day in the AFC. Pass to Jennings has another first down. So they're moving the ball effectively here in these final minutes of the first half. Moses Foku able to get to Jennings.
So they shift Jennings out, and nobody comes out to cover him until it's too late. I mean, there's some confusion there. Foku late to get out to cover Jennings. They blew an assignment there defensively.
Raiders first down at the Titans 28-yard line. That was a 13-yard pass play. Inside handoff, and Jennings takes to the outside, puts the speed on, and is pushed out of bounds. He goes for 15.
Well, a lot of misdirection with the running game if you're the Oakland Raiders. They're not going to be able to just win the battle in the trenches each week and just beat you up in the running game, so they have to be able to create some space with misdirection, and that's just what this is from Rashad Jennings.
Raiders first down at the Tennessee 13-yard line, a minute and 43 to go in this first half. Good-looking drive in these final 2 minutes of the half. And once again, it's Jennings. So he's picked it up in the second quarter. Once again, Foku on the tackle. Jennings picks up 5 more.
And they are not afraid to repeat plays. We saw Jennings run over the left side of this offensive line. They come right back to it. This time, instead of bouncing it to the edge, he works back up inside, and that little crease right there between the tackle and end.
Once again, Matt McCants, an offensive lineman, moves over to the second tight end position. Jennings remaining in the backfield. Handoff to Jennings. He's short of the first down as he goes for 3. And the Raiders take their second timeout of this first half, so they have 1 remaining. That stops the clock with 56 seconds to go in the half.
Yeah, neither team has been very productive down in this part of the field. Both teams having to settle for field goals. Critical third and 3 here on the 6 for Dennis Allen and Greg Olson, the offensive coordinator. I thought it was interesting, Marv, looking at the quarterbacks today. Terrell Pryor hasn't been a guy that really has worn a wristband. And if you look at Matt McGloin, he's wearing a wristband, has just about every play on it. You see it right on that left forearm of his. Plays will come in, and if he needs to use it as a reference, he'll look down. It's like a little bit of a cheat sheet. Look at all the plays on there. I think about 100 plays, runs and passes mixed in.
McGloin looking at a 3rd and 2. Takes a deep drop. And throws, and again it's knocked down. That's the 4th pass attempted by McGloin that has been batted down. Look at Sammy Hill, the defensive tackle.
Yep, Sammy Hill gets a right hand in on it. And, you know, when these things keep happening, you've got to change your launch point. You've got to be able to slide. You've got to be able to find holes. You just can't sit back there oblivious to the rush and try and fit one in.
4th and 3 from the 6. So here is Sebastian Janikowski, who hit from 52. That line drive that just made it for 48. This a 24-yard attempt. Raiders recapture the lead. up 9-6 with just 48 seconds to go in the first half. This week, don't miss the show that's in a league by itself with guys who take on all 32 teams and each other every week. James Brown, Phil Simms, Chris Collinsworth with the artistry of NFL Films, Inside the NFL, the show that the pros watch Wednesday at 9 only on Showtime. They actually look confused. They're kind of walking around the set, smiling at each other.
A lot of confusion on the set.
But that's before the show.
Standard operating procedure,
Yes.
I'm told. A good look right there at the offensive coordinator, Dow Loggins, talking to Ryan Fitzpatrick, going through the scenario here with a couple timeouts left and 48 seconds.
How about Dow Loggins? Looks like he's just out of junior high school. He's 33 years old.
He's got that boy. He's got those boyish looks.
Yep. His first full year as a NFL coordinator, 6th season in the league. He's been the quarterback's coach. So 48 seconds remaining in this first half. Devin Wiley back for the kick, which bounces out of the end zone to bring it to the 20.
Well, we've seen a number of batted balls today from this Tennessee defensive line. They're doing a good job getting upfield and getting their hands up. If you can't get there, you've got to be able to zero in on that quarterback, find the launch point, and put that right or left hand up. And the Titans have done a terrific job of this. And they're going to have to, the Raiders are going to have to make an adjustment at halftime with Matt McGloin. We've talked about his height. He's just 6'1". But the defensive line of the Titans have done a terrific job forcing him to fit it into some tight windows and not allowing him to get the ball behind the line of scrimmage.
Tennessee does have 2 timeouts remaining. Again, the pressure forcing Fitzpatrick to run and takes it out of bounds to stop the clock. Picked up a yard. Ryan Fitzpatrick starting for the injured Jake Locker, his 4th start of the year. It's a long way from field goal territory, but you know that Rob Baronis is certainly thinking about it.
And he's got plenty of leg. They need a couple big completions, though. And Ryan Fitzpatrick hasn't been able to set his feet much. Raiders have done a good job forcing him off the spot, forcing him to flush him to his left.
Now with time. Completes for the first down. Justin Hunter makes the catch. Clock is running.
Well, they throw a comeback, and we don't see a ton of this from Fitzpatrick. He loves to throw the ball between the numbers as opposed to outside the numbers. Sometimes I don't believe he trusts his arm strength, but that's a very good throw. Great anticipation by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
And Rich, the Titans do take their final timeout. Well, apparently, no, they have 1 left. That was their second timeout. So that effectively stopped the clock at 34 seconds remaining. And a first down at the Tennessee 35-yard line. Fitzpatrick guns it, and it's dropped. Tennessee, a team that has had a number of drop passes throughout the season. Delaney Walker, the tight end, not able to hang on.
No, they got what they wanted. Delaney Walker's just going to sit down in the zone, but right as the ball's coming, go ahead and run it. Right there, he just takes a quick peek. You got to be able to squeeze it. We've seen a couple drops today where the receiver takes his eye off the ball and is anxious to look behind him.
Second and 10 from the 35 with a half-minute remaining first half. Here they come. Fitzpatrick gets it away, short of the first down. This time a diving catch by Walker. And now the Titans use their final timeout.
Well, they love those crossing routes. They're going to run a ton of them today against all the man-to-man coverage they're going to see from this Raiders secondary.
Tennessee, 5 losses their last 6 games. They started the season at 3-1. They lost 2 straight at home to Jacksonville and Indianapolis, preceded by a win at St. Louis. And Rich, this is the first of 3 straight games on the road. It's a tough schedule today here against the Raiders and at Indianapolis and at Denver. Not an easy stretch.
Yeah, they get a first down here. They complete the ball on the field here. They've got in bounds. They've got to be able to clock it.
3rd and 2 at the 43, and it is dropped. Another opportunity for Kenny Britt. That's the 3rd drop pass by the Titans, 2nd by Britt.
Man, this guy's not playing with a lot of confidence. I mean, what a waste of talent. I mean, a big, strong receiver, just can't squeeze it. And again, Marv, we've seen the inconsistency from him. And when you drop the ball and you lose your job, he was the starter at the beginning of the season. Then he was moved back to the 3rd receiver. Now he's back at the 4th receiver behind Justin Hunter and Kendall Wright, Nate Washington. This is a guy that's clearly lost his confidence.
1st round pick, 2009, 45 catches, 4 touchdowns. It is blocked. The punt is blocked. And let's see who came out with the football. Well, George Wilson apparently was able to cover up, but they lose it on downs.
Well, they had a low snap, and then it looked like Jeremy Stewart got in there and got a hand on it. Huge block.
Only 11 seconds remaining in the half, and the Raiders have it. Take another look. Raiders first down at the Tennessee 37-yard line. Jennings in the backfield.
180!
1 timeout remaining for Oakland. Play action. McGloin with a long look, and he throws, and he's caught inside the 15-yard line. What a pass, and a beautiful catch by Rod Streeter. And now Oakland calls for time with 4 seconds remaining in the half, and time to get Sebastian Janikowski back on the field.
Well, a really nice throw by McGloin to Streeter. Streeter's running the corner route, then he just sits it down in the hole between the safety and the corner, and McGloin calls the timeout almost immediately.
23-yard gain. The ball is just inside the 15. Janikowski will attempt from 32. He's hit from 52, 48, and 24. Angle to the right. And once again, the kick. Let's see. It is waved off. No good. Raiders thought they had it. Here's another look.
It looked like a good snap and a good hold, and Janikowski just pushes it a little left. And that's not, I mean, this guy has been so good from inside 40. You see the frustration from McGloin.
So that is the end of the first half. Raiders 9, Titans 6. Back with the Verizon halftime after this and a word from your local station. Welcome back to the Oakland Coliseum. Beautiful day in the Bay Area, and the Raiders with a 9-6 lead on the Titans. Let's take a look at the first half performance presented by Intel. Well, it was early second quarter. Zach Brown of Tennessee picking off the rookie Matt McGloin, and this interception led to the 22-yard field goal by Rob Baronis to give Tennessee a 6-3 lead. However, Sebastian Janikowski came back for the Raiders to kick 2 field goals, and that gave the Raiders the lead, although Janikowski missed on a very close attempt right in the final seconds. But it's been a defensive geared game, not much offense to this point.
No, ugly offensively, really. Look at the Titans. Chris Johnson, just 25 rushing yards on 9 carries. They've got to be able to get him going. And the Raiders have the same issues offensively. Neither team's been good on third down. Neither team has been good in the red zone.
What's your feel for McGloin in that first half? He had 4 pass is batted down.
Well, he's got to get that corrected. And how do you, if you're 6'1", how do you get that corrected, Marv, in a game with big men in front of you, big men rushing in front of you? And, you know, as a smaller quarterback, I was only 6'3". I had my own issues. You've got to be able to slide around. You've got to be able to find holes in the rush. You've got to know where your quick answer throws are, particularly when you're throwing the crossing routes and the routes to the flat. And that's where most of his balls have been batted.
Now, you say you're only 6'3". You've been telling us you're 6'5". Have you grown?
I got those lifters in my shoe now.
Short kick. And Devin Wiley able to pick it up. The most unusual situation. It went through the legs of Ryan Robinson.
You know, when the Titans win, usually Chris Johnson has something to do with it. And, you know, you look at the quarterback comparison through the first half of football, not great numbers from either quarterback, although Fitzpatrick is completing 2/3 of his throws, but they've got to get the ball to Chris Johnson. I mean, this is the key to it all.
Johnson is in the backfield as this third quarter gets underway. There's the play fake. Ryan Fitzpatrick unleashes, and it is caught. Nice catch by Kendall Wright, who was stopped by Tracy Porter. And Rich, we were talking about Kendall Wright with Ryan Fitzpatrick yesterday, and he said, you know, Wright is a safety blanket for me, kind of a Stevie Johnson type.
Yeah, he is exceptional with the ball in his hands. I mean, he is a handful for any cornerback, and keep him up. Transition to the run.
First down at the 38-yard line. Here's Johnson. Met by Lamar Houston, the right defensive end. So Johnson picks up 5, but he has been held in check. He's a guy who can explode, as we have seen on many occasions, but to this point has not.
No, and again, you look at him, just 63 yards a game rush and only one game over 100 all season. And he is dangerous, but the Raiders have done a good job containing him and not giving him a crease in that defense.
Johnson and Mooney are in the backfield, and a stutter step move is made up to the 45-yard line. And Kevin Burnett getting the wraps on Johnson, who picked up 3. Good look from overhead at the Coliseum in Oakland, affectionately known as the Black Hole. Might call it a hostile environment at times.
It can be, and again, this is always a tough place to play because the crowd is really right on top of you. And that black hole can be really tough if you're the opponent.
3 wideouts for the Titans. Johnson in the backfield. It's a 3rd and 2 at the 46-yard line. Fitzpatrick able to stand in and completes for the first down and more. Christian Hunter gets away. And Hunter runs it in. Beautiful pivot move. It's a 54-yard touchdown play. Justin Hunter, rookie from Tennessee, a 2nd-round draft pick, coming up with his 3rd touchdown of the season.
Well, what a great move inside. I mean, he got 2 defenders in a position to make a play. Phillip Adams and Brandon Ross, neither can get Justin Hunter, their 2nd-round pick, on the ground.
Brandon Ross starting for the injured Tyvon Branch at strong safety. Tennessee has taken the lead, and Rob Baronis with the extra point. 4 plays, 85 yards in 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Hunter's 3rd catch of the day, 80 yards in all. This one goes for 54, and the Titans lead the Raiders 13-9. Justin Hunter just caught that pass from Ryan Fitzpatrick, did the rest. 54-yard touchdown play. One of 7 receivers that Ryan Fitzpatrick has been able to connect with this afternoon as Tennessee has taken the lead. Tywan Jones on the return. Trying to put a move on as he crossed the 20-yard line, 23-yard return. Well, aerial coverage of today's game is being provided by MetLife. Marv Albert with Rich Gannon. Tennessee with a 13-9 lead on Oakland. The winner today will go to a record of 5-6, and that would put them in this Week 12 in the number 6 spot, which means a playoff berth. But the season does not end today. I should point that out to you.
It is amazing.
Jennings just picked up 2 on the play.
This whole AFC conference is really up in the air, Marvin. You talk about that 6th seed, and again, 6, 4, and 6 teams coming into today's game. 2, 5, and 5 teams. I mean, it's just a lot of mediocre football teams right now. Somebody is going to emerge from the pack, and it may be, as I said, one of these 2 teams, the Titans or the Raiders.
Double tight end utilized here by the Raiders as Jennings flanks wide left side as a swing pass played by Reese. Oh, a hurdle move by Reese to pick up the first down. Marcel Reese, who last season caught 52 passes and averaged 4.5 yards per carry to make his way to the Pro Bowl.
This is a talented player. I mean, the one criticism I have of the Raiders is I don't think they do a good enough job getting him the ball, not just in terms of the running game, but the passing game. You mentioned a Pro Bowler a year ago. He can do it all from the backfield.
Picked up 9. It's a first down. And they made it a point during the week saying that Reese would be more of a factor here today. Pass is caught. Nicely thrown by McLaurin. It's Streeter this time for another Oakland first down. Rod Streeter, second-year player out of Temple, goes for 13. Alteron Verner on the stop.
Well, Verner gets caught with his back turned. Look, he's off the screen. I mean, there's just way too much separation there. They run a little comeback route. McGloin gets it out quick. So one thing about Matt McGloin that we know is that he makes up his mind quickly. He's very accurate. Not a lot of indecision in his game.
Pretty good velocity on his pass. He's now 10 of 19, 127 yards. Jennings, once again a short pickup. Rashad Jennings, who has taken over for the injured Darren McFadden. Stopped by Zach Brown, the outside linebacker, and Jennings has done the job the last 3 weeks. He's had 2 100-yard games, ran for 150 last week, including an 80-yard run in the win over the Texans. Jennings and Reese are in the backfield. McLaurin out of the gun. And the inside handoff to Jennings. Good second effort. Jennings rolling over for the first down, picking up 5. Bernard Pollard on the cover-up. Speaking of Jennings, last week in the 3rd quarter, took the snap out of the Wildcat and took it 80 yards, took it the rest of the way.
I'm really surprised that there's 4 defensive backs from the Houston Texans chasing Rashad Jennings. None of them could bring him down from behind. Better speed than you anticipate for a bigger back.
First down at the Tennessee 44. Deep drop by McGloin. And again, he cuts it on target for another first down, connecting with Andre Holmes. McGloin likes Holmes. He completed a 33-yard pass to him last week. Also had a 40-yard pass that was challenged and was ruled out of bounds.
Well, they're going to run crossing routes, and off of play action, Streeter's going to clear out. Good anticipation again by McGloin, but the crossing routes have been effective today for the Oakland Raiders.
Andre Holmes has spent time with Dallas and New England, claimed off waivers from the Patriots in early May. This is Jennings looking to make the turn. He was not able to. Cut off by McCourty and lost 2.
This is a really nice effort by the Tennessee Titans, forcing the bigger back, Jennings, to the edge. You want him to run east and west and not north and south. Really no crease up inside for Jennings.
2nd and 12 at the Tennessee 30 with 8.5 remaining in this 3rd quarter. Jennings and Reese in the backfield now. They both go to the wings.
A little surprised Tennessee hasn't pressured McGloin more in this game.
That pass thrown behind Streeter. It is ruled incomplete. Streeter wisely chased it down just in case they'd call it.
Yeah, I was really a little surprised. They're just trying to kick this one out. Again, a quick screen, and you've got to get it in front of the receiver. That's going to be a tough catch for Rod Streeter. But surprise, Marv, coming into this game. You've got a rookie quarterback. You look at Jerry Gray and Greg Williams. I really felt like they would try and heat him up early, get some pressure on him. Houston wasn't able to do that last week. He looked very comfortable in the pocket.
Third down and 12.
Now here comes some pressure.
McLaurin's pass incomplete. Intended for Holmes. Crowd looking for a call on McCourty.
Well, he's just going to run a little in route. McCourty's going to undercut him right at the end there, and not a lot of space. You have to be able to make some contested throws against this Titan secondary. They're going to play a ton of man-to-man coverage.
So here is the very busy Sebastian Janikowski. This from 48. Right at the end of the half, he missed from 32. And again off the mark. He'd hit his first three. Misses from 32 and from 48. The score remains 13-9 Titans.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Chase Freedom. Get your cash back. And by AT&T. Rethink possible.
Well, we've seen a number of backup quarterbacks here today, Marv. Look at the different quarterbacks that have started. 20 teams have started just one quarterback. We've got 7 teams that have had to start 2 quarterbacks, including the Tennessee Titans, because of the injury of Jake Locker. And we also have 5 teams that have started 3 quarterbacks. And, you know, you look at the 5 teams that have started 3 quarterbacks: Buffalo, Green Bay, Oakland, Cleveland, and Minnesota. Not a single team with a winning record. Tough when you have to dig down the bottom of the barrel. Fitzpatrick's at least a guy that has experience and has been a starter in this league.
Once you say he's one of the better backup quarterbacks, he hands off to Chris Johnson. Ryan Fitzpatrick, a starter in Buffalo for 4 years, 7th round pick of St. Louis. Spent 2 years with the Rams, a couple of seasons with the Bengals, and on to Buffalo and now Tennessee.
I think they had the best backup quarterback in the league last year, Matt Hasselbeck. They had an issue with him, getting him re-signed, so they went out and got what I think may be one of the second or third best quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, and it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. And it was funny just talking to Dow Loggins about him. He said we didn't even get a chance to look at film on him. That was a decision that was made in a period of 24 hours.
Fitzpatrick has to run. Again, the pressure coming from the Raiders, led by Kevin Burnett, who ends up making the stop, and Fitzpatrick able to pick up 3.
Yeah, after they lost Hasselbeck, this was the best guy available. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick, a player that had starting experience, smart guy that could come in, would be a good mentor, obviously to Jake Locker, and a guy that Dow Loggins felt would be a good fit in their system.
3rd and 5, and this crowd urging on the Raider defensive unit. Johnson in the backfield.
The Raiders give you so many different looks on 3rd down, and here comes more pressure.
And the play is blown dead. Flag thrown in the secondary. It is a delay of game. And apparently Ryan Fitzpatrick having some difficulty. Carl Sheffers had an audio problem. So it is a delay. 9th penalty called on the Titans. They've really hurt themselves, although they have the 13-9 lead, and crowd very much into it for this 3rd down and 10. Fitzpatrick with time now being chased. And wisely throws it away. Pressure from Lamar Houston and then Jack Crawford, who's a second-year man out of Penn State.
Well, the Raiders are doing a really nice job. Go ahead and roll it. You're going to see C.O. Moore. He's actually going to spy. He's spying the quarterback the whole way. Now go ahead and freeze it. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I mean, he's got nowhere to throw the ball. Everybody is accounted for. And so all he's doing is just trying to scramble around, buy some time so that those receivers downfield have a chance to get open.
Fifth punt for Brett Kern, who had one blocked out at the end of the half. That was out very early prior to the start of the third quarter. 43-yard punt and a 6-yard return by Jacoby Ford. So, Matt McGloin of the Raiders back to the offense. 6 minutes, 5 seconds to go in this third quarter. Raiders 1st and 10 from the 26-yard line. They have the backfield combo of Jennings and Reese. Tennessee with a 13-9 lead. Now they go into the shotgun. McGloin gets it to Streeter across the 45. Rod Streeter, second-year player out of Temple, stopped by Jason McCourty, but goes for 19.
Well, they're moving their personnel around. They're putting running backs out as wide receivers. They're moving Streeter inside, and they're getting the matchups that they won against this Tennessee secondary.
First down at the 45. It is a full-house backfield here. It's fake by McGloin, and he is stopped. Stopped by Ayers. Well, as part of the game presentation here in Oakland, fans spend time taking photos with Rich Gannon prior to the game, and I always thought this was very kind of you whenever we're out here.
It's a throwback jersey.
Yeah. But it's so nice of you to stop by and chat with fans.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Wow,
I think they had a sale on today. It was buy one, get 5.
We walked into the stadium. Rich was mobbed. It was family members all over the place. Sideline crowded. And it was caught. Andre Holmes able to adjust. He made the turn on Jason McCourty, and that's good for 16.
Really nice back shoulder throw and a nice adjustment here by Holmes. And the Raiders haven't had this bigger receiver who can use his size on the boundary against smaller corners like McCourty.
It is a first down at the Tennessee 40-yard line. Rashad Jennings finding the opening straight ahead across 35. He goes for 6, stopped by the free safety, the two-time Pro Bowler, Michael Griffin. And Jennings now with 72 yards on 15 carries.
You know, the Raiders, Marv, have played better up front. Now, I thought the offensive line would have to play well in this game in order for them to have a chance to win, but they are doing a better job. I think getting some people back and healthy. Wisniewski a couple weeks ago. Tony Pacho's back in there. Haven't had a lot of continuity with their offensive line.
Yes, they have done much shuffling right from the start of the season. This is Reese to the outside. Has the first down. Marcel Reese has been an important player here this afternoon. Alteron Werner on the tackle. 5-yard pickup. Looked like Rashad Jennings was shaken up.
You know, McFadden's out of the game. Now you've got Jennings on the sidelines. And again, I've been talking about this Marcel Reese. Marv, he can do a lot. He can play fullback. He can play H-back. He can run the football at the tailback position. And he's also terrific out of the backfield. He just needs some opportunity. He needs some touch.
Now Jameis Olawale has come on for Jennings. Deep drop again by McGloin. Takes a look downfield and goes shorter range. Gets inside the 30 on the completion to Olawale, who's a second-year man out of North Texas, signed off Dallas's practice squad.
Sometimes you never go broke taking a profit. Just look at the back. Just go ahead and freeze it. Look how wide open he is.
What?
You never go broke taking a profit. Sometimes that check down is your best friend right over the football.
This is too
throw it to the fullback, Marcel Reese.
Whoa. We'll discuss that after the game. This is Reese again. That's coach speak. You heard that from a coach somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I heard that. It's
right.
true. You know who told me that? Steve Jordan, all-pro tight end for the Minnesota Vikings. I was a young quarterback. He said, "Hey, you never go broke taking a profit. Throw it to me. I'm open all the time over the middle of the ball."
Man.
Neither team has been able to do much, Marv, in this part of the field. And the Raiders need to be able to convert a third down. The Titans have done a terrific job kind of tightening up down around the 20.
3rd down and 5. That's wide. It is broken up. Pass intended for Jacoby Ford. Alteron Werner, who has certainly seen a lot of action going his way, got a piece of it to break it up.
Yeah, plenty good protection, just not enough separation between receiver and defender. And the Raiders have really struggled on 3rd down, converting less than a third of their opportunities so far this season.
Well, 4th and 5 to the 24. You can hear the anxiety in the crowd, which is certainly unusual when you look back on the career of Sebastian Janikowski. But he has been struggling. This one is from 42. He's missed his last 2. And this one is good. He hit his first 3, missed from 32, missed from 48, and now hits from 42. The Raiders are down by a point.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of The Home Depot. And by Kelley Blue Book. Everything you need to make a smart new car decision is at KBB.com.
Look at the Bay Bridge with the infamous Alcatraz prison in the background. When we show up in a city, we like to show you every possible known
attraction. No extra charge.
Wiley is back, and he'll stay right there. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. Down to 1:41 left in the 3rd quarter. 1-point lead for the Titans over the Raiders. Fans on their feet once again, looking to urge on the Raider defense as Tennessee starts out from its 20. This is Green getting to the outside and makes his move across the 25, picking up 6, stopped by Mike Jenkins, the left corner. Well, they've lost a partner and a friend. Now it's payback time. Don't miss a new episode of the hit drama Person of Interest Tuesday at 10/9 Central. Only CBS. 2nd and 4. Tennessee at their 26. They have a 13-12 lead as this 3rd quarter winds down. Play fake. Fitzpatrick shovel pass to the 25-yard line. That was a dangerous attempt by Fitzpatrick, although it was caught by the tight end Taylor Thompson for no gain.
Kind of a dangerous play, but kind of a heady play as well. Avoiding the sack if you're Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, you got to make sure you see that throw, that little flip to Taylor Thompson. He saved himself a negative play.
Strong pressure by Brian Sanford.
They really like this empty, no back. Really spreading them out. It helps the quarterback see the field. They're not as packed in it. It defines the coverage quicker for Fitzpatrick.
3rd down and 4. Fitzpatrick picks up the 1st down, completing to the tight end Delaney Walker. That's good for 12. So Fitzpatrick now 18 for 26, 224 yards. And Walker with his 5th catch of the day. That is the end of the 3rd quarter. Tennessee 13, Oakland 12. We'll be back to the Bay Area after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. I hear the Titans starting out the 4th quarter. at their 38. Talk strategy here from the Tennessee point of view. What are you looking for?
Well, we're seeing less of Chris Johnson and more of Sean Green right now, Marv.
And Green goes wide. Sean Green able to make the cut, but could not turn the corner. Picked up 3.
I'm a little surprised that Tennessee hasn't been able to run the ball more effectively against this Oakland defense. Chris Johnson, 8 carries for 19 yards in the first quarter, just 1 for 6 yards in the second quarter, and 3 for 16. Well, you just see, right there at the end, gets rolled up on by Charles Woodson.
Wide receiver Kendall Wright helped off. He's on the sideline. Important player, particularly the way Ryan Fitzpatrick has been going in his direction.
That's one player they can't afford to lose. He's leading the team in receptions with 59 coming into today's game.
2nd down and 7. Play fake by Fitzpatrick. He takes a hit as he throws it away.
And clearly he was outside the pocket. Fitzpatrick has done a nice job with his spin move.
The ball went beyond the line.
See the rush. And he does a nice job avoiding the sack and throwing it away. Fitzpatrick has really played well. When the protection has broken down, he has done a good job throwing it away and not taking a negative yardage sacks. Keeping him in position.
Pat Sims, Nick Rhodes, C.O. Moore chasing down Ryan Fitzpatrick to set up a 3rd and 7. Now a timeout is taken by the Raiders, their first of this second half.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Toyota Care. Scheduled maintenance, no cost. Jared, the Gallery of Jewelry, with 5 times the selection of ordinary jewelry stores. And by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Back in Oakland, the 3rd and 7 for the Titans. Opening minute, 4th quarter. Kendall Wright back on the field. Split out wide. Fitzpatrick over the middle. Diving catch is made by Hunter for the first down for Tennessee. Justin Hunter on a 13-yard pass play.
Well, this is a really nice effort here by Fitzpatrick. He has to hold it. He knows he's going to get hit before he just flips it out there to Hunter.
4th catch, 93 yards for the rookie from Tennessee, the 2nd-round draft pick, Justin Hunter. Now Chris Johnson back on the field. And off to Johnson. He broke a tackle, finds the opening, works his way to the 41-yard line, met by the left corner Mike Jenkins. He goes for 6.
Well, really nice block here by Delaney Walker. He's going to come over and get the initial block in the hole on C.O. Moore. And just got to keep feeding Chris Johnson the ball. He's liable to break one.
Well, in that last game against the Colts, Johnson ran for 80 yards, 13 carries in the first half, and then was held in check in the second half. Mike Jenkins, who made the tackle, is hurting. He is shaken up. Tennessee over the ball for the 2nd and 4 at the 41-yard line. A 13-12 lead for the Titans on the Raiders. Minute and a half gone by here in the 4th quarter. Chris Johnson finding the hole.
Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick has done his best to imitate Texas A&M's Johnny Manziel, running around, avoiding sacks, scrambling for his life back there. He has made things difficult for that Oakland Raiders front 7. But a tough guy to get on the ground today, at least with the ball in his hands.
Johnson picking up the first down. Mike Jenkins being checked over on the sideline. This is Johnson. Johnson looked to turn the corner and has turned back. Picked up 3. Update time, JB and
Boomer, it pays to know the rules.
Certainly does, JB. 4th and 3. Eli Manning's going to find Brandon Myers down the sideline. He catches, falls down, and is not touched by either Bruce Carter or Jeff Heath. Picks it up, goes into the end zone. 21-13. It's not college, boys. You got to touch him when he's on the ground.
Wow. Marv and Rich.
All right, guys. Philip Adams has come on for Mike Jenkins to play left corner. Second down and 7 for Tennessee at the Oakland 34-yard line. Fitzpatrick throwing sideline, overthrows over the head of Nate Washington, who was well covered by Tracy Porter, the right corner. Now Mike Jenkins headed back to the locker room. It has been a very tough physical afternoon for both teams.
Yeah, a lot of players have been leaving the field and heading to the locker room. Good look at Jason Tarver, the emotional defensive coordinator of the Oakland Raiders. Guys love playing for him here in Oakland.
3rd and 7.
We got a lot of people up here around the line of scrimmage.
Fitzpatrick on the run and has the first down. He took a good hit from behind from Kevin Burnett, the outside linebacker, but picked up the first down running for 11.
And this is how you win over your teammates when you make plays like this. He knows he's going to get hit. He knows where those first down markers are, and he does a good job squeezing the football, putting his head down and getting the first down.
Tennessee first down at the Raider 24-yard line. Johnson finds the hole and gets inside the 5, inside the 10-yard line for another Titan first down. Charles Woodson made the tackle. Johnson, with his best run of the day, goes for 12.
That was the longest run of the day for the Tennessee Titans. Nice job running over the left side of that offensive line between Andy Levitri, the left guard, and Michael Ruse, the left tackle. Being decisive, heading straight downhill. Not hesitating in the hole.
Now Sean Green has come on. 13th play of the drive. First down at the Oakland 12. Lost his balance to Sean Green, but a flag is thrown.
Holding, number 70 offense. 10-yard penalty, first down.
It's called on the right guard, Chance Warmack, as the Titans continue to hurt themselves with penalties. 6
holding penalties today, and that's going to drive Mike Munchak absolutely crazy. Bears playing 8-man front football right now. One short up front. Can't commit penalties in this part of the field. Been devastating today. Look at that, 100 yards of penalties already for the Tennessee Titans.
And as we mentioned earlier, it's Oakland that is number 5 in most penalties in the NFL. Sean Green now flanks to the right. It's now a first down and 20. Fitzpatrick thrown to the left flat, caught by White, breaks a tackle, gets inside the 15-yard line.
This drives me crazy when I watch defensive backs not wrap with their arms. You're going to get a good look at, he's running this route on Tracy Porter. Tracy Porter tries to knock him down with the shoulder. Well, you're not going to knock a receiver like Kendall Wright down with the shoulder. You've got to get him on the ground using your arms and your hands.
Ryan Fitzpatrick looking at a 2nd and 12 at the 14. He has Sean Green in the backfield. Fitzpatrick throws over the middle. It is caught by Washington inside the 10-yard line.
Number 85, Nate Washington on the reception.
Chimdi Chekwa on the stop. 6-yard pickup.
Well, when you got a cornerback out and you're one short, you got Mike Jenkins, one of your better cover corners out there. You've got to go after his replacement, and that's just what Ryan Fitzpatrick did on that one.
3rd and 7 at the Raider 9. 15th play of the drive. 1-point Tennessee lead. Chris Johnson back on the field. Bad snap. Fielded by Fitzpatrick, whips it across to Johnson, and he's stopped short of the 5. 3-yard gain.
And this is where experience comes in. I mean, it's a bad snap by Schwenke, and Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't panic. He knows exactly where his outlet throw is, and it's Chris Johnson to his left. Doesn't compound the mistake by trying to force a throw in there. Good alert play by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It is a 4th and 3 at the 5. You see Kevin Burnett, outside linebacker for the Raiders, hobbling. 4th and 3 at the 5-yard line. And the field goal unit has come on. Rob Baronis, who is 2 for 2, hit from 33, from 22. This will be a 23-yard attempt.
This would make it a 4-point game, forcing the Raiders to have to score a touchdown and not a field goal inside of 9 minutes. And if you lose this game, either team that loses this game, they're going to look to the lack of red zone production. I mean, both teams have been down in this part of the field and haven't been able to convert. They've had to settle for field goals.
Baronis, 17 of 20 for the season. He's hit on his last 9. 23-yard attempt. Bo Brinkley will snap. Brett Kern will hold. And the kick is right through. So the lead extends. Titans with a 16-12 advantage over the Raiders.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Sonos, the wireless hi-fi system. And by Subway. Try the new Subway Sriracha Steak Melt today. Subway. Be bold, eat fresh.
Welcome back to the Bay Area. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon. It's been a good one. Titans with a 16-12 lead on the Raiders. Coming up on 8.5 remaining in this fourth quarter. Taiwan Jones, 3-year man from East Washington, is the deep man. Rob Baronis just added to that lead. The field goal on the kickoff. Pounds it into the end zone. This is Jeremy Stewart on the return. He was off to the far side. They kept it away from Jones, so he goes for 28 yards. The Home Depot SEC on CBS heats up your holiday big time on Friday. Jonathan Williams and the Razorbacks making a run at Zach Mettenberger and the Bayou Bengals of LSU. Saturday, it's the Iron Bowl. A.J. McCarron and the #1 Alabama Crimson Tide go up against Trey Mason and the Tigers of Auburn. All begins with the college football special and college football today.
How about A.J. McCarron? 36-2 as a starter after yesterday's 49-0 win over Chattanooga. I think he's going to be a terrific NFL player.
Oh, beautiful catch by Rod Streeter. Rod Streeter signed as an undrafted free agent last season. A pleasant surprise. Good hands, as you saw right there, and takes it for 19.
Well, terrific play by Matt McGloin. He has to step up in the pocket, and Streeter has had a nice day as well. 5 catches already, and they have really hurt the Tennessee Titans with play action, particularly with those crossing routes, those deep crossers against the secondary.
Strong side linebacker Akeem Ayers being helped off the field. We have had a host of injuries for both the Raiders and the Titans. First down at the Oakland 44. Patrick Bailey comes on for Ayers. Handoff Rashad Jennings. And he is gang tackled, maybe a yard on the play. All right, what is the feel for Matt McGloin and the Raiders at this point? What's the strategy?
You got them right where you want them. I mean, you're down 4. You've got inside 740, 750. Plenty of time. He's got to make some good decisions. Continue to throw the ball with accuracy. Can't afford any negative plays in this situation.
McGloin from the gun, looking left, throws sideline, and a late big catch by Streeter. Another terrific play, although the Titans feel that he did not have possession as he went to the sideline. It's a 13-yard gain.
Nice job by McGloin, stepping up in the pocket, throwing on the move. See whether or not Streeter gets both feet in bounds. I think he does. He got the right foot down. Looks like his rear end hits the ground first. Ooh, that may be close.
Let's see if we get the challenge.
See, clearly the right foot's down. I don't believe he ever gets the left foot down, but then it's like part of his hip or his Backside. The official there calls it a catch.
Streeter is shaken up. It's the way he landed on his hip.
I really like the fact that Rod Streeter, he's been going up and getting balls, and that's one of the things that he provides for. He's a taller receiver at 6'3", and so hard to tell, you know, what touches down first, and does that ball slide a little bit there at the end?
Number 73 reports is eligible.
And there's no challenge flag, so they're accepting it. Streeter's 5th catch, 87 yards. First out of the 42 in Tennessee territory. McGloin on play action. Goes short range. Jennings looks to put the speed out. Gets inside the 30. Has a first down. 15-yard gain for Rashad Jennings.
Well, this is what was so impressive about Matt McGloin last week. It wasn't too big for him. Showed great poise in the pocket late in that game. Made good decisions. And he's slippery. Look at those numbers there. First half, second half. He's able to rally after that early mistake. Shown great composure.
First down at the Tennessee 27-yard line. Here they come. McGloin fires. It is caught. Touchdown! Marcel Reese for 27 yards, and the Raiders take the lead.
A big-time throw by Matt McGloin. He is going to hold it. He is going to pump fake, and then he's going to drift and just throws up a nice ball for Marcel Reese, who's able to get by the linebacker, Zach Brown. Boy, just a terrific throw by McGloin.
The rookie from Penn State making his 2nd NFL start. He won last week in Houston. Sebastian Janikowski with the extra point. 5 plays, 75 yards. And McGloin on that drive, 4 for 4 for 74 yards. The Raiders take a 3-point lead.
Yeah, and Greg Olsen has done a nice job displacing different. Here's Marcel Reese down the bottom. He's working on the linebacker, and that's really the matchup that they want. And he's going to run a little stutter go. And actually, when you look at it, Zach Brown's in pretty decent position. He's just not able to turn and locate the ball. Perfect throw and perfect catch. Get it done for the Raiders.
Matt McGloin originally tried out for Carolina, then tried out for the Raiders. Beat out the 4th-round draft pick Tyler Wilson. Has taken the job from Terrell Pryor. Was number 4 on the depth chart in training camp. In his first NFL start, defeats the Houston Texans and has led his Raiders back here in the 4th quarter.
No one wanted this kid coming out of high school. You know, Colgate didn't want him. Bucknell, Lehigh, Lafayette, none of them wanted him. He wound up walking on at Penn State and having to fight for every opportunity here in the NFL.
Devin Wiley takes it deep in the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 20. With 6:10 left in the 4th. Coming up, time permitting, after the game, it's the Subway postgame show. Join JD, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, all coming up on the Subway postgame. All right, let's take it from the Titan point of view as they start out from the 20.
Well, they're only down a field goal. They've got plenty of time. Timeouts aren't an issue. They've got all 3 timeouts, and it's all about getting a completion to start the drive.
The feature back, Chris Johnson, who takes the handoff, finds a hole, turned around, and he's dropped inside the 25. Picked up 4, Nick Roach. The middle linebacker makes the stop.
Chris Johnson can be so dangerous. I mean, he can go 0 to 60 in a heartbeat if you give him a little bit of a crease, but the Raiders have been very stingy on defense today against the run, especially against Chris Johnson.
2nd and 6. The Fitzpatrick with a long look and chase. And it's completed for the first down and more. And Kendall Wright making the adjustment, makes the catch. That's a big play for 21 yards and a first down.
This is a ridiculous throw by Ryan Fitzpatrick. He has to throw it out in front of two defenders as he's drifting and sliding to his left. And a terrific grab by Kendall Wright. But that was an excellent play by Ryan Fitzpatrick under duress.
So the ball now at the Titan 45. Raiders with the 3-point lead, coming up on 5 to play. Fitzpatrick completes to the far side to Colin Mooney. Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick has had a game-winning drive against the Raiders before, as with the Bills early 2011. Team down by 4 late in the fourth, led a 14-play, 80-yard touchdown drive, was capped off by that 6-yard touchdown pass to David Nelson, and Buffalo won it in a thriller, 38-35. Can he pull it off once again? Coming up on 4.5 remaining in the fourth. Chris Johnson in the backfield. Johnson makes the turn, has the first down as he dives forward. Took a bump from Philip Adams, playing for the injured Mike Jenkins.
I think the addition of Sean Green has helped Chris Johnson. You just watch Chris Johnson finish runs, and I mean, he's lowering that head. We saw a great finish from him against the Colts on Thursday night, but that guy right there, Sean Green, I think has helped Chris Johnson become a more physical runner. Did a much better job at the end of runs.
Johnson 18 carries, 70 yards, first and 10 at the Oakland 44. Fitzpatrick to the right flat. Colin Mooney stopped by Charles Woodson. Gain of 2 on the play.
Charles Woodson still a special player. He's second on the team with 80 tackles. He still makes a ton of plays, and you have to be careful with him in a pocket, you know, in the ball around other defenders. This guy is the best in the business at ripping it out.
Once again, Johnson, the lone deep back, takes the handoff. Look for a blocker. No help at all, and he's pushed back. Vance Walker was right on it. Vance Walker has moved over to defensive end for the injured Jason Hunter, who's out with an injured foot, which realigned that Oakland front four.
Yeah, I think where they're at right now, Marv, this is almost 4-down territory. I mean, I know there's plenty of time that they've got the timeouts, but you know, you're kind of in no man's land right here in terms of the field goal. If you get some of it here, they may go for it on 4th down.
It was a 3rd down and 7. 2.5 left, fourth quarter. Raiders by 3. Fitzpatrick with the pass. It is caught by Justin Hunter, and has a first down, and he almost pulled away, picked up 8. So Justin Hunter with his 5th catch for 100 yards, including a touchdown.
And that's who they wanted to go after, Chekwa. Remember now, he is in for the injured Mike Jenkins. They've done a good job throwing the ball in his area.
New set of downs here for the Titans as we come up on 2 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. When we resume, Tennessee first down at the Oakland 33, 3-point lead for the Raiders. Reminder tonight on 60 Minutes, Whitey Bulger was public enemy number 1 and on the run for 16 years. So how did the FBI find him? Well, find out yourself only on 60 Minutes tonight. Tennessee 3 timeouts remaining. First and 10 at the Raider 33. Chris Johnson slipped wide left side. Fitzpatrick able to stand in, goes underneath, and he has Wright, Kendall Wright, trying to get out of bounds to stop the clock. Right at the marker, run out by Usuma Young.
Boy, Kendall Wright has some real quickness to him. He just catches a little under route, and no one's going to get him on the ground. But he has been a real playmaker for the Tennessee Titans.
Wright able to step out to stop the clock and pick up the first down at the 23-yard line. A 3-point Raider lead. Minute 50 to go. Johnson is stopped. backed up and then taken down by C.O. Moore, the strong side linebacker. Just a yard pickup as Rob Baronis continues to take walks along that sideline. He may have to come on looking to tie it.
Well, remember now, Tennessee has had 3 trips down here in the red zone. They've not been able to come away with a touchdown. I mean, you want to be able to finish down here. You don't want to settle for a field goal and roll the dice in overtime.
10th play of the drive. They started at their 20, second and 9 at the Raider 22. Fitzpatrick swings it out. It has Johnson, puts a move on, and he is tackled. A good tackle at the 20-yard line as Johnson tried to pull away. It's Philip Adams, 4-year man from South Carolina State, who has come on because of several injuries in that secondary.
Well, I talk about a critical situation in a game now, 3rd and 6. Raiders making substitutions, bringing more defensive backs on the field to match up. Dale Loggins, you got to dial up the best one here and hope that Ryan Fitzpatrick has enough time to set his feet and make a good, accurate throw.
So the clock stopped at 36 seconds as Tennessee uses its first timeout of this second half. So both teams have 2 timeouts remaining. Coming up, time permitting, after the game, the Subway postgame. Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Subway postgame show. And as we mentioned earlier, the winner of this game today, mathematically, and this is week 12, takes over the number 6 and final playoff berth in the AFC with 14 of the 16 AFC teams still eligible to make the playoffs.
Well, look at this, empty no backs. We get 5 out in the route. Raiders are going to rush just 3.
It is a 3rd and 6 at the 19. Fitzpatrick fires a bullet. It is caught for the first down. It is caught by Justin Hunter.
Tennessee will take a timeout. Really nice. They drop 8, and Fitzpatrick's able to fit this one in to Justin Hunter between the safety Charles Woodson and underneath the fender. Look how tight that window was there. He actually had to throw it behind him so it didn't get deflected. Good anticipation there by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Tennessee took the timeout. They have 1 left. So they pick up the first down at the 10.
Well, the Raiders had a big stop here last week in the red zone against Houston. Can they do it again?
27 seconds remaining in regulation. Fitzpatrick fires. Everyone covered. He threw it away.
Well, a smart play by Ryan Fitzpatrick. A couple more shots with 22 seconds left.
The ball at the Oakland 10, second down and goal. Rob Baronis waiting in the wings.
You know, with 22 seconds left in a timeout, you don't necessarily have to throw it in the end zone. You can throw it underneath and let someone try and run him.
Fitzpatrick nowhere to go. Nearly tripped up, throws end zone, and it is incomplete. Intended for Chris Johnson, who had it for an instant.
Well, this was really close. Just as Fitzpatrick starts scrambling to his left, right before he goes down, he's able to flick this out. Would have been a terrific catch, but Chris Johnson was trying to keep his feet in bounds. And, you know, it looks like, obviously, Justin Hunter was open, but you can't always see that when you're Ryan Fitzpatrick scrambling to your left.
Philip Adams on the cover of Johnson. Here we go, 3rd and goal. 15 seconds remaining in regulation. Fitzpatrick looking. He throws a bullet. It's caught. Touchdown. Kendall Wright. Kendall Wright has come up with a number of huge receptions. And the Titans back on top.
Well, Kendall Wright is just going to run a little stick route, and for some reason, Tracy Porter is way off. Look at the reaction from Mike Munchak. He knows what's at stake. Look at Dow Loggins. That was a big-time drive there by the Tennessee Titans and a huge throw from Ryan Fitzpatrick.
And only 10 seconds remaining. They will review it on the 2-minute mark. Every touchdown is reviewed.
You talk about the importance of depth at the quarterback position. In this case, the veteran Ryan Fitzpatrick outplayed the rookie Matt McGloin, but just a terrific job there.
Question is, did he break the plane? That's what they're looking at.
I think he does. As he's going down before he gets touched, I think clearly that ball's across the line.
Actually, let me correct myself. Every touchdown, every score is reviewed without the coach's challenge.
Look at the reaction from Justin Hunter. And Justin Hunter, he had to do the right thing. He had to release outside and make sure that he took Phillip Adams with him. A little surprised that the veteran Tracy Porter didn't jump that route when he initially saw Kendall Wright break out. Now with 10 seconds left, McGloin's going to need some help. He's going to need a big return. You get the ball out around midfield and take a couple shots.
Big return that does not take 10 seconds.
No, you don't really. It's
tough.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown. Although his knee is down, he was not down by contact. He lunged into the end zone, therefore it is a touchdown.
So Kendall Wright with 6 more catches has 65 for the season. Titans leading receiver, and how about Fitzpatrick? 8 for 10, 67 yards on the drive.
How about Hunter and Wright? Both with 6 catches, both over 100 yards today. Both have a score. You guys have come through for the Titans.
All right, here's the point after by Baronis to make it 23-19 tonight on CBS. 60 Minutes, followed by new episodes of The Amazing Race, The Good Wife, and The Medalist. That's all coming up tonight on CBS. So 10 seconds remaining, and obviously under normal conditions you want strong return, but you cannot take too much time.
Well, you know, if you're the Titans, you got to decide, do you count on Rob Baronis to just bang this thing out of the back of the end zone? If not, then maybe you squib it. And you just don't want to allow the Raiders. You look at Bobby April there in the middle of that pile, the special teams coordinator for the Oakland Raiders. Just don't want to give him an opportunity to return one. Go back. You always think about what could have happened in a game, and of course these 2 missed field goals by Sebastian Janikowski today, both to the left, both well within his range. They were costly today for the Raiders.
The misses from 32 and then from 48. We're talking about one of the most accurate long-range kickers. He had hit his previous 3, including a 52-yarder. And after the 2 misses, he did connect from 42. But Tennessee with a 23-19 lead. Let's see how Baronis does play it.
See whether or not they give Taiwan Jones a chance to return it. I don't think so. Nope.
Puts it on the ground. It is covered up immediately at the 30-yard line by Jeremy Stewart. So just 1 second off the clock. Raiders do have 2 timeouts remaining. If Tennessee holds on, they go to 5 and 6. They'd move into that number 6 spot for the playoffs with what was going on earlier today.
Well, with 9 seconds left and a couple timeouts, you're going to have a chance for 2 plays. You've got to be able to complete a ball in the middle of the field here or to the boundary. Try and get it up around the 50-yard line. And then you can take a shot there from the end zone. But you've got to be able to pick up 18 or 20 right here.
Off the mark, intended. Well, the only Raider in sight, Nick Kessa, a backup tight end.
Well, now they've got one shot. They've got to throw a ball up, and hopefully someone can get up and make a tip, and somebody can get behind a defender. But you're going to look how deep they're going to be in this Tennessee secondary. Probably rush 3 and drop 8 in coverage. Look how deep they are. They're off the screen.
Just 4 seconds left. And it's a short-range pass.
Looking lateral. Whoop.
Ball is loose. And that will wrap it. Tennessee, in fact, comes up with the football and a disappointed crowd here in Oakland. It was Darrell Casey who ends up on top of the ball, and Ryan Fitzpatrick with a terrific performance as we take a look at the bizarre scenario in the AFC. Tennessee now in the number 6 spot at the moment. This is only week 12. They go to 5-6. They had dropped 5 of their previous 6. They now have won 12 of the last 13 here in Oakland. Raiders dropped to 4-7. Not mathematically out, but would need a miracle finish. So the Titans come from behind. They win at 23-19 tonight on CBS 60 Minutes, followed by new episodes of The Amazing Race, The Good Wife, and The Mentalist. So for Rich Gannon, Marv Albert saying so long from Oakland, California.